the owner, the salesperson might say, okay, fine, we're gonna have to pay for a lot more for the installation. But unfortunately, the ignorance of the industry ends there. There's a third component that doesn't get passed on from the grout manufacturers, but it does get passed on by the National Telecontractors Association, because they want all the cards on the table, all right? So if you were to look in here, and you would look under, in the index, under 100% epoxy grout, you would come to page, enter and grout, page 236, okay. Let's go to 236. And they're going to tell you all kinds of things about epoxy grouts. But then when you go to page 239, the dirty little secret gets revealed. And that is, Mrs. Jones, I know that the retail person didn't tell you this, maybe because they don't know, or the architect didn't say this because they don't know either. But since I'm using epoxy grout, I do not have to give you as full a grout joint. There's an industry standard that says, since epoxy grout is harder to clean off the surface of the tile, it only makes sense that I'm going to pull more grout out of the grout joints, which means you're not going to get that nice full grout joint that you hoped to get. So that's all the cards on the table. If everybody in the scenario is willing to accept the fact that I'm not going to be able to tool those grout joints as nicely with epoxy grout, then we're fine. But that little message doesn't get conveyed. And that's why I wanted to convey it to you. It has nothing to do with our products or anything like that. It's just something that I've learned from being frustrated with really good tile installers, getting complaints from architects in prisons, in hospitals, in homeowners. Well, this tile installer doesn't know how to do grout. Take a look at that grout over there, how good? Well, that's not epoxy grout. That's epoxy grout. Harder to clean, harder to give you a nice cool grout joint. This installer did a great job. Don't blame them. Blame the person that specified the epoxy, and blame the fact that the message wasn't conveyed, that we're not going to be able to do as good a job. That's putting all the cards on the table. Anyway, again, I go off on my tangents now and then. So, okay, now we go ahead and we turn on the shower. 1,100 inches of rain a year. What happens now? Well, something called vapor drive personifies nature's desire to balance things out. What do I mean by balance things out? Well, if you take these two glasses that I put together only about 15 minutes ago, you'll see that the water is equalizing in both of these glasses. This towel, even though gravity is being defied, is completely saturated right now. And within an hour, by lunchtime, the level of water in both of these glasses is going to be the same. Water is not affected by gravity. And when you have a different temperature differentiation, and obviously the shower is a lot hotter than the outside of the shower, nature is going to even more forcefully want to force that water to the other side. Which means that if I'm building a tile shower, and I've got two interior walls and one exterior wall, that water is going to be more aggressively trying to find its way into that wall cavity. But in either effect, all of those wall cavities are going to be affected. Insulation is going to get wet. Eventually, we're going to have the same issues that you and I all discussed a few minutes ago when I said, how many people have ripped out a shower and found all kinds of mold and mildew and all kinds of issues? This is the reality that we have to deal with, right? We've got, in this particular case, this happens to be a school where on the other side of this wall is the shower. You can see where the water was spraying on the wall. That's this line right here. That moisture got through the cement backer board, started to rust out these steel studs. The insulation got completely saturated, and some people's children are going to school and using the shower and breathing the contaminants that aren't going to help their health. This happens to be a truck stop. Obviously, the showers in the truck stop are used a whole lot more than a 1,100 inch a year shower. And this was wallpaper. So the maintenance people say, hey, the wallpaper's starting to curl. We got to go put some new wallpaper. Or when they peel back the wallpaper, what they see? Public enemy number one, black mold.